You are listening to Lanier Listens.
Um, Welcome back to Linear Listens. For this episode, I'll be your host. For those of you who didn't watch or were unable to listen to our last episode, episode 00, I'm Presley Miller and I'm a senior at Linear High School. For this episode, I really wanted to focus on the aspect of community, but not just at our school. One advantage that our cluster has is we're on the smaller side, so like the elementary schools, the middle school, and our high school is able to connect more. And having that strong sense of community just really allows us to feel like we're part of something bigger than just ourselves. One example that I really thought was super cool, and a lot of schools don't have this opportunity, but last year when we did the homecoming parade, all ages from the elementary school up to the high school, and then parents of all those children were able to come to the Sugar Hill Town Center and hang out and watch the parade floats go by and just hang out with all the food trucks. And it was really cool to me to see everyone in our area just gather together and become a closer knit community. Today, for our guest, I have Miss Curtright here, who's not only a teacher at our school, but also a super involved member of our community. So Ms. Curtright, if you wanted to tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do at Lanier, a little bit of your background, that'd be great.
Yeah, thank you for having me. So I'm a teacher at Lanier High School. I teach chemistry. I also sometimes will teach some food science courses. I currently coach, I'm in my first year of coaching the 9th grade girls cheerleading squad, the spirit squad for football and basketball. I also have a daughter who is a 6th grader at Lanier Middle School and a son who is in the 3rd grade, starting 3rd grade at Sugar Hill Elementary School. And before I worked here, I worked at Lanier Middle School for a few years. So this year's group of seniors is the last group of crossover that I have where I had the ability to kind of hang out with those kids or teach those kids twice. And then we also live in this area. So we live here, I work here, we go to school here, rec ball here, hang out and do life here.
Did you want to talk about some of your hobbies?
So the hobbies that I have currently are watching my kids go to practice, driving my kids to practice, taking my kids to softball, baseball, gymnastics. I think when you're a parent in the middle part of your life, your hobbies become their hobbies. But when I'm doing things for myself, and now my daughter, both my kids actually like to do things with me now. I love to play golf. I'm more of a 9-hole golfer. I tend to get bored after that, and it falls apart. I like to play tennis. I love to take old furniture from antique auctions and make them new again, like paint them, sand them down, give them new life again. And I really enjoy traveling, although I haven't done a whole lot of that lately, but I guess nobody really has. So yeah, I have a lot of different things that I'm into.
Thank you for that. So I know it's easier to be involved when you're a parent of a student in Lanier cluster schools, but other than like being just a parent, how else would you say you're involved with the community?
Yeah, you're right. So some of my involvement comes naturally through parenting. A lot of it also comes through my job. And I think for most people that live in this area, it's a little rare, I think, probably for me to have my kids both in this cluster and live here and I work here. So I think naturally a lot of that, and I think a lot of us around here, we live here for a reason. This is where we want to live. We could live somewhere else. We chose to live here. Most parents choose because of the school system. So a lot of my involvement really does just come from an overlapping of me managing time here at the high school and at practice and things like that. And I end up with students here who have siblings on my kids' teams and things like that. I used to be a basketball coach before I had kids, and then I hung that up to spend obviously more time with my children. But then when my daughter's softball team didn't have a coach one year, her dad and I just said, well, I guess we can do that. We have to be here anyway, right? And then fast forward a couple years later, and that's how I met you a little bit more, was when the 5th grade squad didn't have a cheer coach for a couple of months. So a friend of mine and we decided that we'd been parents on the squad. We were like, well, okay, why not give that a try? And you were our spirit coach for that. So That's the majority of my involvement comes through sports. It comes through coaching. It comes through just kind of living here and enjoying the area.
Yeah. What do you think, or why do you think that having a strong sense of community is so important?
I think that I think that on a personal level for everybody, especially children, people have an innate desire or need to feel like they belong to something and that they are ultimately loved. And I think that when you have an area that has churches that are involved with schools, that are involved with businesses, that are involved with local government, and you have any of that, it gives you an ability to, one, feel safe. Community makes you feel safe. It's a place to call home. It's a place that's familiar. And it now, because you're seeing things like Swanee has done it, Sugar Hill has it, Buford. You're starting to see when I was in high school, you had to go to downtown Atlanta that's where the restaurants were. That's where the cool malls were. Gwinnett Place was a cool mall back then. We all hung out there all the time. Now you're starting to see, breweries and restaurants and little boutiques pop up in little small areas. And that gives you the ability to have businesses there, to have your fun Friday night. Instead of Friday night, we're hopping on the interstate. Friday night, we just can go hang out after the game here. And I think that it gives you a sense of pride in the area that you're from, and it gives you a sense of belonging, and it makes you feel like you can also make changes. You can open a business here. You can go to school here. You can go to church here. You can fix problems and then see the result of fixing those things that you would like to add or adjust in your area. And I think that when other people see that, it makes them want to be a part of it. And when you guys leave and go to college, graduate, start families of your own, you'll be telling your friends about it, and you'll be like, hey, that's the kind of place I want to go back to and raise my own family. It's a place that you feel at home.
Right. And I think that especially Sugar Hill has done a great job of doing that, especially with like all the new buildings going on downtown and being so close to Sugar Hill Church. How do you think that students at Lanier can grow even stronger that sense of community and get more involved, especially through the school and the community?
I think that there's really two avenues that target the majority of the population that lives here. One is the schools, and the other is athletics. Not everybody's involved in athletics, and certainly not all of our population is in school, but most of them are impacted in some way by one of those two avenues. And then if you go outside of that, you've got churches we have a couple of really big churches that are very involved with helping us. Sugar Hill Church is indispensable when it comes to the support that they give our students with no strings attached, which is remarkable. The city hall does it, but I think that one of the things that you guys have already started and we just need to capitalize on and really expand is the amount of involvement between the high school students and the teachers that sponsor them, working with the middle school students and the elementary school students, and also with the athletics at the high school. In Gwinnett, we're clustered, and I think that's brilliant. And it kind of creates like a triangle or pyramid, if you will, of elementary at the bottom, middle in the middle, and then high school. And our rec league stops at 8th grade with the intent that we're building them up from, kindergarten, first, second, until 8th grade. And then everything points towards that high school as like the pinnacle. This is where it all comes together. And I think that if you have high school students who target younger students during the day through their classroom, I can tell you from experience from my own children how they idolize you guys when you guys come into the building. I will hear about it for hours, and then they'll see you guys and they're like, oh my gosh, it's like you're not like a real person or something because you're so cool. And that's the kind of person I want my kids looking up to. But then I think you do the same thing. I know cheerleading does an extraordinary job of having the spirit cheerleaders work with and train the rec league cheerleaders of everything, from how they behave and how they cheer. So I think if we can carry that over into softball, and I know they're working on it here at the high school. I know Coach Mayweather with basketball is working on it. I know Coach Schmidt. I think that a lot of that involvement, when you target the students and you target those athletes, I think that also targets the parents in the community who are involved in multiple sports and stuff with their kids. either sports or school, you can automatically like exponentially grow that relationship between students, community, parents, churches, everybody.
Right, definitely. And I think also that one of the things that the elementary schools really do a great job on doing is the like instilling into those children that learn, lead, succeed motto into them, and just like
Yes.
being proud to be a Longhorn. And like when they get to high school, they're excited to be there. They've heard good things about high school, especially at Lanier, and they're just really excited to be there and be a Longhorn. I know, speaking from experience, the cheerleaders love, love, love just like everything that has to do with like spirit itself.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yes, we that's what I want. I want the ranch. I think it's very cool. Even as an adult, I love being here. It's almost like a magical place sometimes. There is a feeling when you walk around this building on a Friday afternoon, when you know you have a game that night. In the wintertime, when we're getting ready for basketball, we've got senior night last night for volleyball. And you have all these kids. There are so many ways that kids can get involved. We have art students who are down the hall painting the original part of the building here with really cool murals on it. And each one tells a cool story about the kids that did it and the time that they spent here. I think that it's just a fun place. And I love that we target and get those kids, like the homecoming parade, like you said. That is one of my favorite things that I've ever been a part of. I love having the kids come here to visit. They poke their heads in the windows in the front and they wave. And I want them to feel welcome here. I don't want them to feel like it's a scary place. Like, oh my God, it's so big. I want them to be like, that's where I want to go. That's what I want to do. And I'm cool because I'm a Longhorn. And that sense of community comes back again, because when you are a Longhorn, it gives you a sense of like an obligation to the greater good. Because I'm a Longhorn, because I'm wearing these colors, because I have the L on me, that means that I get to be part of something very cool. And that's the ultimate goal. That's where we're headed. And I think it's really cool that you have so many people in this building, from art to orchestra, the administration, to the coaches, to the teachers, who are working hard to, and leadership team as well, working hard to it's almost like they're trying to build memories and traditions, which is great because we're in our infancy. We're 10 years old. They're building traditions the way that a parent would with their own children and their own family. And that's what makes the feeling in this place so cool, is all the different traditions that have been intentionally put into place. It's not an accident. And I love that everybody comes together, from the parents at the softball field to the people working at City Hill, at Sugar Hall, at the movie theater, $2 movies on Tuesday nights. And I love to see all these different people working together in their own way with their own talents to make this place as awesome as it is.
For sure, definitely. And I really think that we've done a great job of connecting that school pride along with our sense of community and spreading out school pride throughout the community. But is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, I think you guys are wonderful for putting this together. I love that you guys noticed that you want to bring the community together more, and you took the initiative. And I love that your group there, your LSLT, and other leaders around here are working hard to see a need and address it, make it happen. And you guys just hopped right in and just took charge. So I really applaud you guys for that. And it makes a difference, and I appreciate it.
Thank you. That really means a lot. It's great to feel like we're actually helping the school and just like different aspects of the community. But
you are. I promise you are. There's generations of kids coming up behind you guys that will benefit from y'all's leadership and your sacrifice of your time, getting up, coming here in the dark, and staying until night to coach some other kids and work with kids, making a video for kindergartners, and all the things that you guys are doing all the time. And I promise it matters. You guys don't see it, but as a parent, I get to see my kid come home and say, she read to me today in my class, that kid read to me. And it makes a huge difference. And then one day they aspire to be that kid that goes back and reads to their former class.
Right. It really means a lot to hear that coming from an outsider. as opposed to like the kids, because the kids always say they're all excited to see you, but you never know how much it really resonates with them.
It
That's
does
really
more than
great
you
to
know.
hear. I think that's all. So thanks you guys for listening to today. And thank you, Ms. Curtright, for being a guest on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Make sure to come back next week for another episode and to be able to stay connected with everything that's going on.